This heavyweight dredger really sucks on the job. And that's a good thing.
This is the largest hopper dredge in the United States, and this is the first project that it's operating on.
Day and night, it vacuums up massive amounts of sand from the ocean floor and moves it to where it's needed.
We're digging.
This is the brand new Ellis Island dredger. It's the perfect choice for one of the biggest jobs for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
This project is the restoration of one of the critical barrier islands off the coast of Mississippi. These islands serve as the first line of defense for storms that move onto the mainland coast.
Essentially, they're like speed bumps for hurricanes. These islands won't stop the waves, but they'll suck the energy out of them.
And they also serve as critical features for habitats that use the area, like birds and sea turtles. This is the most critical and risky part of the project because we're closing a breach.
That breach is a 5-kilometer wide gap in Ship Island, washed away by a hurricane in 1969.
This is actually the second largest restoration project in the history of the National Park Service. It's the placement of approximately 20 million cubic yards of sand. So to put that into perspective, that's about 1 million dump truck loads. If you stack those dump trucks end on end, that's 3 trips across the United States of America. That material will be dredged from a combination of different bar sources that are all about 20, 25 to 35 miles away on the east.
Those sand sources were carefully chosen through sampling. They have to perfectly match the color and grain size on Ship Island. The wrong kind of sand would have a huge impact on turtles and other ocean life that they hope will return. En route to the borrowing area, the empty dredger sits high in the water. The Ellis Island is a barge. It can't transport itself, so it's paired with a custom-built tug called the Douglas B. Mackey. They fit like a glove. Raylene Hilland is the assistant project engineer on board.
This is an articulated barge, which means a tugboat is driving it. So it's 2 separate vessels, but operating as one.
The 2 key crew members who run the dredging operation work together just as closely.
The drag tender controls the pumps, the drag arms, the loading and unloading of the dredge, and the mate is responsible for steering the vessel. He's the one watching the drafts, making sure the load is level.
When they get on site, the enormous drag arms are dropped by the drag tender.
The drag arm's about 120 feet long. The arms lower down to the ocean floor.
Right here I'm watching my pipes, and I control them up here. Whenever I get to my deck and I have swell come up, I know I'm on the bottom. Then I can run my engines up, then we're going to start digging the sand, putting it in there.
Once the drag head makes contact with the ocean floor, the jet pumps pump water through the teeth that create a slurry, and that slurry is sucked up through the drag arm and into the hopper.
The sand and water pour in at a rate of about 30 dump trucks per minute, propelled by giant pumps 2 decks below.
We have 2 pumps that are 5,000 horsepower each, and they have inside them an impeller, which is like a large fan blade that creates the suction. You'll see the water fill up the hopper, and then the material will start settling out, and the water will flow out of the hopper through the skimmers.
They'll make 3 or 4 passes through the area to load up, all closely monitored.
I'm basically making sure I'm staying on the bottom, making sure the drag heads don't go up underneath the ship. So I'm watching all this at one time. If I have good density, good velocity, I know I'm digging good.
The crew has to pay close attention. If the sand doesn't settle evenly, it could tip the barge and damage the critical links between the Ellis Island and its tug.
As we're loading, the draft of the barge gets deeper, and the tug draft never changes.
I have a screen in front of me right here that shows me our tonnage as we're going down and taking on more material.
As long as we load it level, then the system works to adjust.
Now with a full load, they have to deliver the sand back to Ship Island. To do that, they hook up to a hose that runs along the ocean floor.
This pump out line is about 4 3/4 miles offshore, and then we'll pump the material that we collected through the subline to the beach.
It's a 10-hour cycle, rebuilding Ship Island with 1,100 dump trucks worth of sand at a time.
We run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The project will take 2.5 years to complete.
4 dredging and placement phases and a 5th phase to plant the site.
The $400 million price tag is huge, but the Corps believes the protection it will offer the coast and the wildlife in the area is invaluable.